Welcome, AI Explorers. We're going to be talking about the exciting frontier of AI. And right now, we're going to talk about the AI wars. This week, there were some announcements by OpenAI and Google about new opportunities and new platforms that they're going to be releasing to the public. And we're going to talk about those today. Let's talk about the AI wars, Jacob. So, OpenAI and Google announced a variety of things this week. What are your initial thoughts on these announcements?
Well, I really so I have to admit, I watched OpenAI's presentation completely. I have not watched Google's presentation completely yet, though I plan to. The first thing that sticks out to me is that when Google announced Gemini originally, they had this promotional video that implied that their artificial intelligence tool was responding in real time. And then it comes out later that it actually wasn't responding in real time, that was, doctored or kind of done up. And what's fascinating about OpenAI's demonstration this week is that it was interacting with its environment in real time. I mean, they were using it on the app, similar to how I use it on the app. And so the fact that it's a tool that I can have at my fingers any minute now is amazing. That you know basically I feel like they are fulfilling promises that Google has made but hasn't yet been able to keep. Um, and so, yeah, I mean, I'm very, 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 very much impressed with GPT 4.0.
I think that's a fair assessment. I remember seeing that and being wowed, and then hearing that it wasn't real time, and being pretty disappointed that Google had kind of stooped to that kind of con artistry, I guess you want to say. I don't know if that's truly the case, but the announcements for Google this week, they've released a number of products that are obviously competing in the same space that OpenAI is doing. Gemini obviously has their large language model text to text prompt. They've released some text to image prompt material and a couple of other platforms that I'll showcase as we go about this discussion. But what did you find very interesting in OpenAI's presentation of the content that they're providing to us?
Well, so the first thing I did when I saw the announcement was that I logged into ChatGPT to use it, selected the new model. And one of the things that I missed a little bit when I moved from GPT 3.5 to 4 is that it wasn't as fast. And I quickly got used to it. I was like, you know what? It reasons better. I can see that it reasons better. And a lot of those advanced features were only available on version 4. So the advanced data analysis, the custom GPTs, those kinds of things. And so I had forgotten how much I value speed. GPT 4.0 burns. I mean, it just books it, right? So that was the first thing that stood out to me is, gosh, this is so fast. And I really like that. The next thing that I would say is it's the combination of GPT-4's smarts with the speed, but also all of those other features. So everything is rolled into GPT 4.0, the advanced data analysis. But then they also mentioned how the voice feature, I've loved that on the phone, being able to talk to it. And I've always thought, well, that's really cool. But there were some usability aspects that I never liked. Like you had to wait for it to finish before you could say something, or you could tap the screen. But GPT 4.0 allows you to just interrupt and butt in like a normal conversationalist. And so the conversation feels natural. I mean, it feels like talking to a human. It's really next level in that sense, that you can just literally have a conversation. Whereas earlier, it's all like, okay, I have to know how to use a computer to have a conversation with this phone. But now you can have a conversation. It's wild.
Yeah. So with this new app, is this on the desktop? I mean, we've been using the one on our phones, but this is
Okay.
a desktop app now. So have you downloaded that app on your desktop?
So it looks like it's not available to all users yet. They did announce it and
Uh,
said it's available today. It's not available today for me. I've looked
oh,
around where I can download it. I've downloaded the DMG because somebody else posted it somewhere, but I can't get it. It looks like the iPhone app is also due for an update. So whenever that rolls out, because I don't quite have those like true to life live action features yet. but
Okay.
I can upgrade to 4.0 and I can see that it's faster. So I haven't personally been able to test these new features, but I am very excited to do so.
Excellent. What other things have you found that were interesting with OpenAI's announcement?
One of the most interesting things to me, and it's unfortunate because I'm a paid user and they're testing out this feature only for free users and plus users, but I'm a Teams paid user. So they're testing out memory. And to me, that seems like a huge, very valuable thing. And so I looked at their web pages about it. In fact, the memory aspect to me is amazing because when I first interacted with ChatGPT, I wanted to write. I tried to get it to write like a novella, like a story, and it couldn't remember things from earlier in the chat. And so I don't know if the context window is any longer than it would be normally. You can manage memory, so it can remember details about you. Now, a lot of people are going to think this is creepy. I'll admit that it is, right? And it's kind of fascinating that it's going to know this about you. And look how it's managing the memory. So it's not remembering conversations in total. It's just taking different facts. Like this user has a 2-year-old daughter named Lena. I don't know that I want ChatGPT to know that necessarily, but there are use cases where I would want it, like if I'm working on a book, for example, this character is named this and they have this backstory. That would be incredibly useful if you're working on larger projects. And it also would be useful, for example, like if you're working on a legal brief and I want to load it with all of the facts. So the more that they can figure out how to enable and disable the usage of memory, make that context window customizable in a different way that allows me to get work done, then I think that this is a useful tool. Of course, you can turn it on and off. And as you scroll down this page and seeing these things. Um, but yeah, I mean, for me, this is probably one of the most interesting features, but unfortunately, I'm not currently able to test it. So we'll see how that works out.
So, were there any other fascinating things associated with the OpenAI announcement that you found uh, impactful, pivotal, useful?
So I haven't tested this yet, but I'm very curious about it. So for me, as an English user of ChatGPT, it feels miraculous, right? And I know that that's been your experience and the experience of others. Here, I've currently been living in Spain for the last year, and we met a Finnish family and they've become friends, and we talked to them about artificial intelligence. And one of them actually translates for EA games, which is super cool. Um,
That's awesome.
and yeah, and so we mentioned artificial intelligence and its role in translation, and has that helped at all? And she said, well, not really, which surprised me a lot. And I said, well, why not? Because it was so good at translation. She goes, but not in Finnish, it's not. Like it sounds like somebody in English who's a native English speaker who's learned Finnish rudimentarily speaking Finnish, right? And so
Yeah.
um I did a little research then, and you know that I've also worked on a custom GPT, right? With language.
Mhm.
So Chat GPT, at least version 4, was only really good at about 17 languages. And that's what it would say. It would say, I'm really only proficient in these. And then when you look at the list, it's, English, Spanish, French, German. Some of those, I guess, more Western languages that are more common throughout the world, ChatGPT is really good at, or at least it was in the past. They made a big deal in this presentation that now it's good in 50 languages, 97% of the internet population. Yeah. And so, of course, it's difficult for me to test how good is it in Finnish, right? Who knows? I'll ask my Finnish friends and they'll tell me. But I think it's interesting that they are paying attention to this issue. And in the past, when I looked at making a custom GPT for language learning,
Mhm.
again, it goes back to that conversational aspect where it couldn't really have a conversation. Well, now it can. And they actually tested this in the presentation because Mia Murati is Italian. And so she was speaking Italian to the other presenters. And they had a conversation where ChatGPT was translating back and forth in real time with no delay. I mean, it was fascinating. It was the best translator that I've seen. And I work with translators in immigration court and other contexts. So, I've talked with Tanya about this, and she's a translator by profession. But when she looks at these tools, she's all like, "Yeah, I mean, there will be almost no need for a human translator moving forward because of how good these tools are at it." So that to me, the language aspect is fascinating.
Yeah, the language aspect, I thought that was amazing. I mean, as we're both bilingual and speak
Hmm.
Spanish and English, that translation element, but I wonder if it's getting the nuance of some of
Gosh,
those language idi the ideograms, or what is the word?
like idiomatic
Slang.
expressions.
Yeah, idiomatic expressions, slang, even regional things. Because I mean, here in the United States, if you ask for a carbonated beverage in the South, you're going to get a Coke.
Right.
It out west, it may be pop or soda. In different regions, and what does that translate look like? And I think AI definitely will impact that space as it
In a huge
learns.
way.
Yeah, as it learns those slang or those regional inflections of the language.
For me, when I showed it to Tanya, when I first showed it to her, I was like, "Isn't this amazing? I mean, the Spanish is perfect." She goes, "Eh." She goes, "It still sounds like a gringo speaking Spanish, right?" And so that's true because when it changes now, I wonder if because if you set your default voice to Spanish, I wonder if that's true. But if you listen closely and you have a refined ear for these kinds of things, yeah, the Spanish accent is not perfect. And so I was actually that's one of the questions I asked myself was, I wonder how long it's gonna take them to start paying attention to that because that's such a nuanced issue that, it does the job flawlessly, but not 100% perfectly, and so I just wonder how long it's gonna take them to, like, make that happen, which would be
Yeah.
truly magical. So,
Well, and I imagine the initial goal truly was to provide the translation, not exactly get the exact nuance of the language. But now,
right.
now that we have it in this capacity, it's now the refining stage
For
of
sure,
those things.
for sure.
So I, I'm excited to see what that is going to look like in the future.
I wanna turn the tables now. So it was my job to give us of the view of OpenAI and ChatGPT 4o. Tell me about Google Labs. What did you learn? What do you have to share?
Okay, well, Google Labs, if you see my screen, can share that. See, they've if we look at labs.google, you can see a number of the things that they have available. Now, the screen has a bunch of little blocks, things that you can try now. One of the things that really stuck out to me was this notebook. So I have that in a different tab where you can collect a variety of notes, and then it uses that information to further help you learn about the concepts or to remember those concepts. So, as you were saying earlier in OpenAI, it's remembering things, and this new notebook app with their uh, AI or their LLM is allowing you to do that kind of thing as well. Another thing is, just as OpenAI released or announced Sora several months back, Google has announced their video platform. But we'll sign in real quick, and you can see what they've accomplished with this llamas in knit wool sweaters. You can change the channel, and we spoke a little earlier about these things, and imagine how these will impact other arenas in the world as they can create things on the fly like this. How is this going to impact video, movies, video games,
Advertising.
advertising, a number of arenas? I mean, look how good quality that is. It's come a long way from some of the internet memes of Will Smith eating spaghetti. So, I mean, look at this, riding a bike down this path in the mountains. It's fantastic.
Right? Like, that's AI generated. That mountain range
Right.
that doesn't exist, that road doesn't exist, but it's wild to consider that, and when it comes to storytelling and providing a perspective, like, all of this stuff is it's fascinating.
Right. Exactly. And so there's a number of things. Also, you can create music now. So here we've got a little rock and roll that it's created, or various images with just text to image like Midjourney, which we showcase a lot because we like that platform. So we can test some of these out. Now we have, a different piece of music that's more ethereal and synthetic. You can definitely go to this kitchen, this test kitchen, AI test kitchen, with google.com and listen to some of these things and create your own. You can scroll down and see some of the tools. So here's join to the waiting list. Here's the image. We'll launch that and we'll let's just do this and see what it does with that.
Yeah. Similar to Midjourney, it can do things, right? Yeah, Google is sticking with its I'm feeling lucky. What is it doing there? Show me that.
One of the things that I really like, yeah, this is one of the things that I really liked about this, is that it's showing those key words and how we've talked about specificity with our audience, those keywords. So it's finding these keywords. Okay, vinyl records. So it's definitely wanted to show vinyl records. It asked for a turntable, and then 12-inch LPs, the warm and moody lighting, high quality image, and then make it hyper realistic. And so you can see where it grabbed that nuance and you can look, it kept some of the stack. It definitely shows the central object is that vinyl, and the lighting is warm and really nice. So I think they've done a really good job with this. How it compares to Midjourney, I'm still a big fan of Midjourney.
So me too, but I have to admit that is an amazing feature. So for example, shallow depth of field hasn't been highlighted, but I can see that that's still being used in the images, right? Like there is some blurriness and some sharpness. And so it has used a shallow depth of field. But what's amazing to me is that you can see what words it's emphasizing or grabbing. And like that is such a useful feature because imagine a future where you could take a tool and you see that it's emphasized those things and then you could say, no, 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 I want you to emphasize these words instead. You know what I
Well,
mean?
and look at now it's giving you options. So let's do cassettes. Let's change it to cassettes and create with cassettes. So it's going to vintage cassettes on a turntable.
I admit I am impressed by this tool. I did not expect it.
So it's changing things around. So it didn't like the cassettes. So it stuck with the LPs because we had LPs in there. So obviously we've got to do some tinkering with it, but it's definitely a new tool for us creatives to tinker around with and find out how we can use that. Oh, let's see what else we've got in here. We've got, oh, well, they've got Google for Workspace, and then you can try a number of things out. And unfortunately, as with a lot of the tools that we talked about early on, where it was kind of a little shady how they announced Gemini and we're like, oh, it's real time. And then kind of found out it wasn't. The Gen Dino thing, if you click learn more, and this is currently May 15th, the game is now extinct and you can't play the Dino game anymore, but
They're
they're
like,
doing
welcome
something
to
with
our
it.
AI splash page. We've made new
Yes.
features. Here's what we're focusing on. And then it doesn't work. So it died in a day, I guess.
Yeah. So I'm not sure what's going on there, but that's kind of funny. But you can see a number of things that they're doing, which I'm really fascinated to see what they're going to do here. For example, this learn about conversational AI that helps you learn on any topic at your own pace. That is going to be groundbreaking for any kind of learning
Teaching, learning.
at
Yeah.
all, teaching, learning. And I think that's going to be fantastic. I mean, right now we've spoken, you and I personally, and I've spoken to many others about how you can learn so much on YouTube and there's so many opportunities. The information is readily available for all of us to learn at whatever pace we want to learn at because of the internet, because the information is there and available in a video fashion, in a text fashion. And now these tools are going to allow us to find even more. So this is just found it is groundbreaking. I'm excited for this. The same thing with this Illuminate. You can turn your academic papers into an AI generated audio discussion. So that is really interesting as well.
So what is your, I mean, it looks like a lot of these are sign up for the future. That one does say try it now. what have you liked that you've played with aside from the image generator?
The image generator, obviously, I'm gonna definitely try with the music, and look at that. The the code thing was fascinating. The clip where, uh, you could manage your code a little bit better. So that's gonna be fantastic for others.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about the AI wars, right? Like that's kind of how we referenced this at the beginning, that these are obviously competing tools. And look, when I want to use an artificial intelligence chat tool, I would probably rank Google's Gemini probably third. Like I predominantly use ChatGPT, and then I've played with Claude, and I like that one. It's pretty decent. And then I would put Google Gemini after them. Um, and so, but then I look at, Google Labs and their announcement, and I see the cool tools that they're working like, and obviously Google's a stand-up company and they provide amazing technology. So I don't think that it's necessary to like rag on them or anything. They're doing amazing things, and I'm excited to see what they come out with, and I'm excited to play with it. But in terms of the AI wars, what's going on?
Yes. Right. Well, they're definitely all competing with their own technologies, their own proprietary technologies that they're each working on. So we're going to see a lot of combat, for lack of a better word, in that space because they're each trying to outdo one another. It's if you've ever seen or played on a playground or drawn things, my X is better than your X and whatnot, or uh, Dr. Seuss's the Better Battle Book, where everybody's trying to outdo each other with the arms race kind of thing. And I see that being the case here. Everybody's trying to outpace each other. And right now, like you said, I think OpenAI is the top of that ladder, and they're just doing well and focusing on that.
So here's the thing though that I think is interesting is yeah, I would also agree. OpenAI seems to be at the top of that ladder. They released the tool first, those kinds of things. But when I look at, the Google Labs overview, like the technology is no less amazing. It's no less impressive, right? And the reason that Google Gemini is my third favorite text model doesn't mean that it's bad by any means. It's just that I prefer the way that ChatGPT works. Like I think it's similarly capable, And so the thing for me is, to me, I think OpenAI is definitely winning the brand war. Like they have articulated a clear vision of one, the capability of their AI tool and how you can use it. Whereas when I look at Google, what you just shared, it just feels like, oh look, you could do this, and then squirrel, and then look at, it just feels not like a cohesive strategy. Whereas with OpenAI, it seems like here is our tool and this is what we're doing to work on it. It seems more focused, I guess, in terms of its strategy.
Yeah, there was a comment that I saw on some of these videos as we were finding more about this. It's one person commented, Google, Google saying, we're going, we're doing, we do, and then OpenAI, we're doing X. We're already doing it. So it's going to be interesting as they all compete for this space. And obviously Meta is in there as well. So what are they going to be releasing soon? And what will we get to play with over the summer?
It's interesting to see all of these tech giants jumping into the space. Obviously, OpenAI has a big head start on a number of these companies, but that doesn't mean they will win the war. I mean, remember when we started browsing the internet and it was, I think, Netscape? And I remember I had like a Juno email address and, things like that. And now we're where we're at. Google obviously has been monolithic in terms of their presence of the modern internet. And so will they be able to pull a fast one? What will Apple do to catch up? Because we've seen that they are pivoting to focus a lot more on artificial intelligence. And so that to me seems like a wise decision. So it's interesting to see what they're doing. But I, for one, am happy to be playing with OpenAI's GPT 4.0. And I can't wait till I can actually use, oh, there was one more feature on the desktop version. I haven't tested it, so I haven't been able to see it. But so frequently lately, I will be working on something on my computer and I'll take a screenshot or several screenshots, upload it to ChatGPT and say, help me figure this out.
Sure.
And it's been really good at that. With the desktop app, you can just set it to look at the window.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
And so I
that's
wouldn't have to take
fantastic.
screenshots. Yeah, no, I mean, it'd be amazing. And so to be able to chat with it in real time while I'm working on my computer is something I'm very much looking forward to do. They cannot release the desktop app to me soon enough, because I plan
Right.
to use that. Yeah, because I mean, that would save me time. It would just make my workflow so much faster. That to me is huge. And then also the real time with the phone camera obviously is, similar, because currently when I help kids with homework or those kinds of things, sometimes we'll take a picture of the page because it's in Spanish, and then we'll ask it to translate it in English to help them as they're learning and do that. And so to be able to do that with your phone, or like, can you imagine like taking your phone and having it listen to a college professor and be like, "Hey, can you explain this better to me?" You know?
That's definitely coming. That is
Oh,
definitely
for sure
coming.
it's coming. So to me, and I think that is the reason that OpenAI is winning the war currently is again, they have one tool that they're focusing on, which is their chat tool, and they're articulating clearly how it can be used. And the use cases are very clear to me. So yeah.
And I agree in that frontier. I think they're doing a greater job with their brand. They focused on this. They've cornered the market because they launched it so quickly, and Google is playing catch up. Meta as well, Apple as well. So when you're first to market, you're gonna have that sweet spot where everybody, those early adopters, are sharing it with their friends and going, "Oh man, look at amazing how cool this is." And I've played with a number of these platforms and I'm excited to continue to play with them. But like yourself, OpenAI is definitely one of my favorites to play with. Midjourney for images. OpenAI has their DALL-E for images, but it's not quite the quality that I like when I'm doing images. But one of the things that I really love about this technology is that it's available, that anybody can use this and for free for the most part. The older models are now free and you can use them. They're still good. They're not terrible. I mean, it's like, oh, I've given you a steak
Ah,
dinner and then okay, here's a piece of filet mignon. Well, you've got your steak dinner still, and this is a little bit better.
well, I
So,
think I want to add here GPT 4.0, they made a big stink about this, that it is available for free. So
oh,
yeah. So I
okay.
don't personally have experience with it because I'm already a paid user. So
Right.
GPT
Me too.
4.0 is available for free, but I think there are only like specific features that are available to paid users. I'm not entirely clear onto what benefit I now get from paying them, but they can keep my money because I want them to keep developing great tools.
Right. Well, I have a question, and maybe they announced this and I missed it. Did they announce the knowledge base that it's familiar with? Because previously they had announced April 2023. So
Ah, did they update the date? That did not come up.
one of the things with Google is that they have Google search. And that's one of the things that I do say is really good on the Google side is, I mean, they've already cornered the market on search and they have integrated their tool with search. So if you're in the Google Chrome browser, you're already getting an AI bit at the top sometimes when you search. So if you're playing with that, you get a little bit more information. Now, it does say you need to verify this data, but it's already integrated. So, how can OpenAI improve their service with having real time data or more up to date information?
OpenAI ChatGPT already integrates with Bing, so it can search the net and look for things. But I think that's interesting is that, Bing has been behind Google on the search game for, ever. And it's kind of interesting to consider, will OpenAI and ChatGPT help Bing get a leg up on search? Because
Mm,
I trust the search results that ChatGPT has been giving to me when I ask it to search for something, and I know it's using Bing. So that is that is just a fascinating question to consider. How and that would be a huge kind of upsetting the cart in terms of what AI can do. I mean,
right.
yeah. That'd be a really big
Well,
deal.
and I think as these AI technologies really come more into play, we're going to find ourselves searching in a different way than we have
For
before,
sure. For
where
sure.
previously we were searching, we would try to do keywords, or if you were really advanced search, you'd have some other ways of doing it. And now we're just going to be communicating like we've been doing with devices at home. Hey, Alexa, hey, Siri, XYZ, and then they'll perform at a higher functionality. So it's going to be fascinating seeing what happens with these new technologies as they're impacting search and our daily lives and how we learn.
AI explorers, we want to thank you for visiting us, for watching this video, and for checking out what we think of these new tools. Like and subscribe if you like what we're doing. Come visit us on Mondays where we post an adventure with Midjourney every week. And we'll see you here once again at Tingenuity AI here on YouTube. Thanks.